All right. Welcome to a Dorrier Underwood conversation. My name is Laura Neff. I'm a consultant with Dorrier Underwood, and with me is Carol Orndorff and Doug McVaden, also consultants with Dorrier Underwood. This is the first of a series of conversations that we're going to be recording, not yet another list of tips and techniques of how to work from home or how to get through. There's so much of that out there. What this is going to be is actually a conversation about more about the backdrop of what we're finding ourselves in and how to be in this time. So less doing, more being. And for each of you watching, we want you to apply this conversation to your real world life right now and take from that what you will. And we'd love to hear from you later about it. But for now, it's going to be a conversation among the three of us, and we invite you to listen in. So with that, Doug, I will pass it over to you.
Well, we're already doing it right now. Normally we'd come and have a meeting about this, but we're on our screens with each other. And there's something that I keep noticing about that, which is that in a way, it's more intimate. And I've been surprised by that. You know, I thought when all this happened, social distancing, you know, no meetings of, more than two people in some places, right? So it seemed like that would be such a restriction and such a constriction of collaboration and creativity. I mean, how are you going to be able to tell where someone's coming from or what they really mean? That's my preconceived notion that, you know, I got to be next to them in a room. But I keep discovering that it's not exactly true. In fact, I'm looking at you two right now, and I think I got a better, clearer view of you than I have had in most of our meetings. Because, you know, we got a big team and I'm looking down the table, seeing the side of your face, and you're looking at your page or something. And here you're looking right at me. I can see the environment where you are, and I can tell you're not doing anything else except for talking to me. And often in meetings, people are doing something else. Mm-hmm. So there's been this interesting kind of breakthrough in being able to be with somebody when we're not with them. We're not with you, but we are. But
I'm sorry, Doug, the other thing that we're discovering in interacting with our clients is that they're actually spending more time together. We have leadership teams that are meeting at least once every morning, and some of them at the end of the day.
Wow. Yeah, that's right. Laura was just telling us about that, right? There's a leadership teams meeting twice a day. Good point. Yeah.
They maybe wouldn't have met once a week prior to this. Now they're meeting twice every day. And the report is that they're actually working as a team more strongly than ever. So it's pretty powerful.
It's a response to something, and response has a temporal quality, like, well, that's just the response, and then we'll go like back to normal.
Yeah.
I think what we're saying is there's not going to be a going back to normal, and there's not really even going to be a going back. There's going to be a going forward, deeper into a new way to, you know, it's not going to diminish. It's not going to be everybody's going to stop doing it. Maybe we have an opportunity to, I don't know, break through into a way of being together.
Yeah, and you know, just in talking again with clients, they're already excited about the fact that they're going to have thinking time that they never have time for when they're traveling or in the office or in and out of so many meetings. And not that they won't have a lot of meetings, they're still having those meetings, but they actually can carve out time now for thinking time. And many people are saying they're very excited about what's going to come out of this for the future of their department or their company.
Yeah, so my coaching to this person I just spoke with was, it wasn't like, it's not time yet to figure out how it's going to be going forward, because we're still in the thick of it. We don't know yet. So part of my coaching to her was just take notes on what's working differently that you like, you know, that's actually better than how it was 2 weeks ago. And in their case, they're busier than ever right now. They're a part of the solution for the COVID-19, you know, having the world get through this well. So they're busier than ever. But there are things happening that she's like, wait, this is good. It's like, write those down. Empower your leadership by letting them know now what's working so you can cause something
Well, say
in the
some of those
future.
things, Laura, because what did she specifically say? This is an executive with a client company said that, what were the qualities of the meeting that she was noting that were improved qualities?
Well, some things were because she's saying their meetings are shorter
Hmm.
because I mean there's a lot of work to do, so they're meeting more frequently. They don't have to have long meetings because they're talking more often, and they're being much more straight in their communications with one another.
Hmm.
However, the tenor of it is whereas before it might have been critical or something like that, now it's much more of an experience of how can I help you? What do you need that I can support you with? And it's boom, 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 rapid fire, but it's very much an exchange of like, how can we support you? What do you guys need? Let's get this stuff out so the ventilators are working or whatever it
So
is.
that's very interesting to me that people on video where there's a remove and you could hide out and you don't know whether I have my slacks or my sweatpants on, so on the one hand you're kind of hidden, but what you're reporting is that there's more directness
Mm-hmm.
in the communication. And you know what? You told me that my bookcase looked messy, in the background here. And I mean, we're all concerned with that, nowadays, like what's part of, but I'm saying that was something you probably wouldn't have said to me if we weren't in this environment. You wouldn't have coached me on how my office looks, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like not your place or something like that. And I just think that's I wanted to call it out because it's a really good example of the kind of thing that in this environment, you'll tell me, you'll say it to me. It won't
Yeah.
seem inappropriate,
It matters differently now.
yeah, like you wouldn't normally come over to my house and tell me how to arrange it. Right? That would seem wildly inappropriate, except for it doesn't now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'd like to bring another aspect into this conversation, which is many people, they're working from home, but guess what? Their kids are there. Sometimes they're little, sometimes they're teenagers. A number of people have their college kids who came back home. That's a whole different set of things to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And what we've been doing that's really been surprise to our clients, but I think has enriched our relationships with them is we're like, no, don't tell your kids to go away. Bring them here. Introduce us to them. We get to know the whole person and who they are. And all of a sudden, mommy or daddy's work is more real to them because they can actually see the people that they're talking with. They don't need to know what we're talking about, but they've been included. Just like they're in the family. Now they're in the bigger family.
Doug, you said the word intimate a couple minutes ago.
Yeah.
So will you tie that to what Carol's pointing to?
Well,
Because that's a weird word in the context of work, right? For a lot of people, it's like,
well, it
intimate.
could be, except for what I mean is like a sense of intimacy, like being able to work well together, like you've been on a team with somebody for a long time and you kind of already know where they're coming from and you know what they mean by that, and you know what that expression means when they get it on their face, that kind of, like you're really close. You're close with the person. You have a close colleague. And sometimes it seems like that would be damaged or that you wouldn't be able to achieve that level on the video. And what Carol's pointing to about including your whole life and being real, it turns out to be an enhancement. For example, I was on a Zoom meeting last week with a group, and of course most of them were in New Jersey, and so they've been on lockdown for a while now, and they were all there with their families, and they're, as Carol said, various situations, right? Some of them are all by themselves. And then that's new because they don't live with somebody, so they're really isolated. You talk about self-isolating, they are. But then the other people, and I think the more common issue, if you will, is all the noise and people walking around and, dogs and kids and, spouses and in the kitchen and all that kind of stuff. Well, what we discovered is that when the little kids, these are the preschool types, came up to the dads on the call, then we encouraged them, because we really did want to see, if you're working with somebody, it's like, oh, that's your kid. Well, don't shoo them away. Let us take a look. And we didn't mean include them in the whole meeting and have them sit on your lap. But for the minute that they walk up, let's take what would have been an interruption as a bonus, as a little window into your world, and see how, when I see how Sam is with his daughter, it makes me feel closer to Sam.
And what's the impact of that on the work you're able to do then with Sam?
Well, then what happens right after that is two things. he seems more available. So I seem like I could be straight with him, right? Because he's being his real self. There's not like a front there to, you know, I can say, hey, here's what my suggestion is. And he's going to be receptive to that. He's in a different mood. So in that mood of I'm my whole self, I'm here with my family, I find you can be straighter and more direct with people. But the other thing is what happened with him is like, I felt that he made a better contribution to the meeting right after that. And I don't think he even knew that he had changed. You know, the rest of us could see it, but he was just being his regular self. But when you turn and say, okay, sweetie, okay, that's right. Just sit down here. Daddy's in his meeting. And then he turns around and says something. It was, you know, rapt attention. He had everybody's tracking. There was no distraction. And then interestingly, he said more than he normally says and kind of went on for a minute and expounded. And I'm connecting those two. You know, I'm saying those are related, those are correlated. And our approach to include the family and to include the so-called distractions, as that's an important part. It's not a distraction, that's your daughter. Mm-hmm. You know, that's part of your life. That's the only reason you're working. When we get down to it, why do you even care about this job? Is so that you can, you know, provide something for your family. When all those elements are present, you kind of get the whole person, and it's a more meaningful interaction.
I like it. Well, there's a whole lot more we could say. And I think that this is a great wrapping up point for this conversation and maybe launching point for the next one.
Yeah, we'll talk more about what people are dealing with and ways to look at it that might, you know, increase your effectiveness in surprising ways in what we originally relate to as a disruption.
Yeah, and in summary, it's like a whole new way to look at the world we're in right now. And really appreciating it, being able to appreciate it.
And people, appreciating the people with whom we're in this world.
That's right.
Doing this work together.
That's right.
Yeah.
So thank you, Laura, and thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
And we look forward to being back with you soon.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Great.